Welcome back to the Book Bros. I'm one of the Book Bros. My name is Stefan. Today we're going to be talking about the bloodline of the Ancient Pantheons, written by Immanarips. Quick synopsis of the bloodline of the Ancient Pantheons. It happens millions of years in the future, and a son has died. The humans are saved by an omnipotent ancient alien race called the Zis. But that race obviously doesn't save us for free. They force humans to live underneath the ground on Earth and make many planets, or 6 in total, to house different humans of their bloodline, where they wipe out most of the male human race besides the kids that's been sent off to these planets. They have to awaken the old bloodline because they say that the only time the human race was relevant, essentially, was when the ancient ancestors lived. So my thoughts on the bloodlines of the Ancient Pantheon. It is a pretty solid book. I really love the story and the idea that the ancient, the Zith race essentially came and protected the humans when this happened. And the way that the story goes on in the first 100 chapters is actually quite quick, which is the only really thing that I didn't really like about it. And the writing. As the author, this is his first book writing, and English isn't his first language, and he's writing in English. So it's kind of hard to get through some of the early chapters because the writing and the editing is awful. It's very difficult to read sometimes. Chapter 9 specifically was just all over the place. It was really difficult to get through. The writing does get better, but the early chapters go very quickly. There's a lot of time jumps, it seems, and there's only one main one that is it skipped 10 years, but there's a bunch of small ones that happen that kind of feel weird just because it's very quick and things that are happening. It's okay, but the story does get much better later on, past the first 10-20 chapters. It is fantastic writing. The world, I'm really excited for where it is in the point now and what's going to happen in the future. But the beginning is very quick, and it might turn off some people. Now, for rating the bloodlines of the Ancient Pantheon, the plot of this novel is really fantastic. The main character gets sent to a Viking world where the Viking gods and things exist, and that's his ancient bloodline that he goes and gets sent to. The way that it's played, you can believe that they did some research along with it and just isn't writing just randomly about Vikings, along with some magic touches. But the plot is fantastic up to the chapter 100, at least that's where I am right now. There's 600 and something chapters, so I'm really excited to see where this goes, as it's really starting to snowball at this moment. But early on, the plot is meh. I'd give it about a 3 out of 5, just because the beginning plot is so just meh, and it goes by just so quickly, like I said before. For the subplots of this online novel, that is maybe 1, but it goes by so quickly. There's a love, a underlying love subplot with another character that doesn't see a lot of time, but it just goes by so quickly. In 2-3 chapters, you essentially just get this plotline that's happening, and I'm hoping that it develops more, because it's developed 3 chapters worth of this subplot. And so at chapter 100, with the plot and things themselves, so I'm really hoping the subplot blooms more. I'm going to give it about a 1 out of 5, because the subplot's awful. Well, not awful, just very short. You don't get a lot of it, and there's no other real subplots besides overall arcing plots in the book. So I'm looking forward to it, but at this moment at chapter 100, that's a 1 out of 5. There's 0 subplots, in my opinion. For the character and character development of this novel, you only really get the character development of the main character himself that he gets when he gets sent here. You don't get a lot of character development in any other character. You get some small ones of some side characters that things happen to, or they're gone off somewhere, because the main focus is on the main character, obviously. But he gets a lot of character development, especially near the chapter 100 mark. His character development is starting to really blossom. You can definitely tell this is a first-time author writing, just because the character development doesn't start very quickly, and especially with how early on and how fast the early chapters go. You don't get a lot of character development there at all, and you get, like I said, you get small ones of the sub characters and the side characters, but not a lot at all. So I'm really hoping that the character development keeps going in the rate that it's going at chapter 100, because you're finally going to get some side characters in, and hopefully they get some character development, and the main character himself gets more and more, and it just snowballs from there. But at the moment, the character development's like maybe 3 out of 5. Like, you only really get the main character for character development, and he's written very well. So I'm just hoping that for more of the character, like watching him grow, and the side characters that are with him to grow as well, and to get to know them even more. Foreshadowing and plot holes. Obviously, you have the overall arcing plot, which is the main foreshadowing. You can probably think about what he's going to do and how he's going to do it. Especially near the chapter 100 mark, where he starts laying out plans to fulfill this overall arcing foreshadowing plot. For plot holes, there's a couple early on that aren't necessarily plot holes, but just the way that he wrote makes it seem like a plot hole. But it doesn't really turn out to be a plot hole, just what you think it is. Like, there's a couple chapters and I'm like, what the hell is happening? But then later on, when you continue to read, you realize that they're not really plot holes because when I thought they were. It's just the way that he wrote that chapter, and the way that like things lined up and editing, it just didn't make sense in those chapters. I haven't found any real plot holes yet, at least not yet, that he's going to fulfill or haven't fulfilled yet. There's a couple other foreshadowing things with like a weapon and other things like that that I'm really looking forward to, that I noticed. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. I'm going to give it foreshadowing about a 2 out of 5. It's just mostly the overall plot, and there's a small foreshadowing possibly that just happened at like chapter 100. So it's going to be exciting to see where that goes. For the writing and editing of this novel, like I said, this is a first-time novelist. English isn't his first language, and I don't know if he gets an editor later or he just got better at writing in English. But the first like 20 chapters, there's some chapters in a way that it's written in like verb text and like context and stuff like that, that is just awful. It was so hard to read. I almost dropped it at chapter 9. Because chapter 9, at least in my opinion, is the worst one. It was so hard to read that just because it was all over the place and didn't make sense when it came to wording and sentence structure. So it got much better. At chapter 100, it's just like a normal novel, or I just like, now that I'm used to this guy's writing, like this author's writing, that I kind of skim, like read through it, and it doesn't bother me as much. But definitely past chapter 20, 30, the writing, or maybe got an editor, it got way better, and it was just much easier to read than it was in those early chapters, where you could definitely tell that either English wasn't his first language or he's a new author, so he's just getting the ball rolling when it comes to his writing. And I appreciate that he even got better as writing, because some authors don't. There's some that just are really bad and just stay bad when it comes to writing. But I'm glad that he got an editor, or got even better at writing. Just, it makes it so much smoother and makes it so much better when you can actually read it. It doesn't like piss you off just because you're reading like gibberish on a page and you're just trying to get through it and get like the context of what's supposed to be in that chapter. So just give it a chance. The writing does get better if you end up deciding to pick this up. Just know the early like 20 chapters, it's really rough in some of them. Like, I'm giving you a warning, chapter 9 was awful. Like, it was really bad. So just fight through it. Get to know the characters early on. And as soon as you get past that like 20 chapter mark, everything is just fine. There's some small errors here and there that either the editor missed or he still puts in because English isn't his first language. Just give it a chance. It's a really fun novel, and especially around chapter 100 where it's starting to really snowball when it comes to the plot. It's a fantastic novel. It's a fantastic story, and I can't wait to keep reading it. For my recommendations, this is definitely probably for more of a hardcore readers. If it's a new reader, the writing can really turn you off just because of the way that it's written, and you can tell there's a new author and English isn't his first language and he doesn't have an editor. It can really turn people off, and like people can drop it right then and there. I'd definitely, for more readers that are used to reading sometimes bad translations or new authors, like for online stuff, or just like fan fiction authors, and I recommend it for 16, 17, older, 20s, because there are some adult scenes in this that I wouldn't recommend for young kids unless if you know what's going on. But like definitely the context and for some things is definitely adult. When I read it, I'm like, oh, I was surprised because I wasn't really expecting it. I was expecting kind of just like an overlay of that scene or what's going on. But he comes into small detail what's happening. So it's definitely for more of a older audience. But definitely pick it up. It's a fantastic novel. I can't wait to read more. Like I said, I'm only at chapter 100, and there's 600 something chapters. I'm going to keep reading it. It's fantastic. Well, thank you for watching. If you like this kind of content, there's more on the channel. I have my buddy over there, Alexz, the youngest bro. He does fan fiction, and once a month we're going to have a novel review that we're going to go both together on camera and talk about a novel that we both read and enjoyed and rated the same way. So if you like this content, stick around, and yeah, see you later.